you all know, I'm very familiar with black magic. I have to thank those who practice it in my land to have become so well at it. Some users seem to like to play with their abilities, like our next creature. The black cape flying humanoid who attacked a policeman. A very strange case that we have discussed often on the Jeff Rennes program is that of a police officer, Leonardo Saminago, from Guadalupe, Mexico, who was attacked by a flying humanoid at 3:15 a.m. on Friday, January 16, 2004. Officer Saminago, who had been making his usual patrol in his patrol car around Colonia Valles de la Sala, when some large black object appeared to leap from a tree next to the street and turned to face the police car. Puzzled, Officer Saminago turned his lights on high beam and saw a living nightmare. What had fallen or leaped from the tree was a woman dressed in black, who didn't really touch the street. She just floated several feet above the ground. As Saminago's eyes widened in disbelief, the woman's two large black eyes, totally without lids, seemed bothered by the patrol car's lights, and she held up her cape in an attempt to protect them. Next, because she was angered by the patrol car's interference with her nocturnal activities, or because the officer appeared to be the likely victim, the witch jumped onto the vehicle and tried to get him by breaking the windshield. The officer put his automobile in reverse, trying his best to escape her attack. Later, in his official testimony to the bizarre events of the evening, Officer Samiago said that the witch had thrown violently at his windshield, trying to drive her hands through the glass and grab him. Again, he described her as having large black eyes, seemingly with no eyelids. In Santiago, U.S. translation of Officer Santiago testimony for Jeff Rennes, the policeman described the woman as having dark brown skin. Her expression was horrible as she tried to get at Santiago's with her claws. Santiago kept his car in reverse, desperately attempting to call for backup. When his vehicle struck the end of the street, he was so frightened that he covered his eyes to escape the view of his ghastly attacker. When he opened his eyes and saw the horrible thing still clawing at his windshield, he fainted due to high stress. Several minutes later, when two police units arrived together with an ambulance, the officers found Santiago still unconscious. He was uninjured, perhaps because he had remained in his patrol car. As he regained consciousness, he was being treated by paramedics in the ambulance. During the subsequent investigation of the strange incident, a police officer from Santa Catarina and two more officers from the arena force admitted they had seen the same flying creature that Santiago had encountered. However, they cited the witch in the black dress and cape 3 days earlier, but had decided not to come forward with the report of such a flying creature for fear of embarrassment. As the case continued to gain notice and credence from the other police officers, a number of residents from Colonia La Playa told television interviewers that they too had seen the flying monster in the daylight, as well as in the late evening hours. Some stated that the fierce entity had so upset them that they had become ill for several days after their sighting. Now, let this be a warning to all those nations who think about taking what's mine. I can easily put a spell